AskReddit. Pizza guys of Reddit. What's the strangest thing you've seen when delivering pizzas? Some dude opened the apartment door completely naked. I was stunned, but what came after that made me ask myself, is he some kind of ducking magician? He put a hand behind his back and pulled a wallet. Only reasonable explanation I could give myself was that he tucked the wallet between his butt cheeks. Had someone answer the door once with a snake on his shoulders. Not like a milk snake or a garter, but a ball python. Probably about 6 feet long. As he closed the door, I heard him say to someone that I hadn't reacted at all. Lol. Sounded so disappointed. I was delivering a pizza to a high-rise once on a Saturday night. Got in the elevator and there was a guy dressed like a pimp who tried to buy my pizza from me that I was about to deliver. He didn't even ask what kind or what size, he just pulled out a $100 bill and said, "I buy that for $100, and I politely turned him down. So he pulled out another $100 and offered me $200. I told him I could get fired. Man, that was hard to turn down. Here's where things get totally ducked up. When I get to the door of the guy I'm delivering it to, he opens the door and is dressed like a pimp also, like huge colorful jacket, and he grabs the pizza and gives me a $100 bill and shuts the door. Pizza was about $35, so a $65 tip. TLDR, got the biggest tip of my life from a guy dressed like a pimp just seconds after turning down the biggest bribe of my life from another guy dressed like a pimp. Just the other day, showed up to a house to be greeted by two guys, about 25, on the roof in underwear, clearly ecstatic about the pizza being delivered. Did you Walter White the pizza up there? Some guy ordered a large pep pizza. When I got to the house he wasn't there, so I called him out. He told me he was in the bathroom taking a sheet, and I had to wait 18-ish minutes to get my pay. Shoulda taxed him a slice or two for the wait. I deliver for DoorDash and Grubhub, sometimes pizzas. One time I picked up an order from each app, same exact order, from the same restaurant, both named James, to the same hotel. When I knocked on the door, two guys were there and asked me which was I, DoorDash or Grubhub. I told them I was both and had both orders. They started to laugh really hard. When I asked what was so funny, they told me they had a bet on which one would come first. They thought it was going to be two different drivers and never thought one person would be using both apps. I laughed too and asked them which one was James. They told me they are both named James. I still wonder what other funny things those two guys tried to come up with. Just simply coming up and there were 3 guys in underwear waiting for me. Handing the pizzas over and more just start coming out in underwear, and these were also wearing cowboy hats and native headdresses. Some kind of bro Halloween party or something. Got to grab my tip out of the dude's bra. It was funny as hell, but when I left the building I had to process for a moment what the hell happened. A previous co-worker of mine delivered pizza when he was in college, and he told me that he once pulled up to a house and a group of high schoolers ran across the street with a finish line. When he got there, they ordered from Pizza Hut and Domino's at the same time. I don't remember which one he worked for, but he won the race. There was this house where a young couple had ordered pizza. I reached quite early and probably disturbed their sex session. The drunk dude had no idea that he had put on his girl's skirt. Not strange, but very difficult not to laugh at. I delivered a pizza to this house, and when I was standing on the front steps, waiting for the guy to pay, I could hear all this hootin' and hollerin' from inside. The guy keeps looking back into the living room and laughing. After punching in his info, he hands the machine back to me and says, "Duck man, you gotta see this." He steps back, and I walk into the living room, where there's probably 5 other dudes watching some guy duck this 700-pound woman's folded over stomach on a massive TV. Back in college, when I used to deliver pizzas, I delivered to the local county jail. An officer was taking someone to jail. The guy going to jail, still with his hands cuffed behind his back, got away from the officer and took off as I was walking in and ran into me. I'm pretty sure this guy was tripping on meth. The officer caught up to both of us on the ground and were able to subdue him. I was covered in pizza sauce and the officers on shift took the pizza, paid, and each gave me $20. I told my manager, and we remade the order for the officers and I redelivered the order. The police were grateful, and I was given another tip. One deliver and I made about $400. I should add every time they ordered pizza from us again they always requested the guy who knew how to take a charge, and would always tip me well. Good times. I once delivered a pizza late at night. The person who took the call told me that the person who ordered, let's call him Mark, was an old man and may take a while to get to the door. I get to the house and all the lights are off, no car in the driveway. I ring the doorbell, no answer. I knock on the door, no answer. I call the person's phone, no answer. Call again, still nothing. At this point I had waited for about 15 minutes for this person and was walking back to my car to leave when I hear the front door open, so I go back. Again, there aren't any lights on, so I can only see the head of a young woman peek from behind the door, and she refuses to open it all the way, even to take the pizza. I then hear another woman behind her saying, who cares if he sees, open the door. So she opens it a little more to sign the receipt. She couldn't see, so I offer to shine my phone's flashlight so she can sign the receipt. I then realize that both of these women are naked. Me being the good employee I was, averted my eyes as she signed the receipt and I start walking back to my car. As I was walking away, one of the women yells to me, "Have a good night, you know Marcus." And I burst into laughter as I had totally forgot that this was the house of an elderly man. Was delivering to a hotel, had a guy pass out on me 3 separate times in a 10-minute encounter. Apparently he was narcoleptic, but it still scared that crap out of me. Not mine, my father's story from back when. Was delivering 4 Domino's into a quite wealthy area. Knocks on the door, but of shuffling around inside. Guy opens it wearing a silk smoking jacket. Woman in the background on the couch full naked. Hands my dad $100 bill for the 1 pizza order and asks if you can go grab me a gallon of milk and bring it back. Keep the change. They got their milk. Customer paid with a card, and he had instructions to leave the pizza on a bench in a public area. Drop it off and quickly leave the area. I left but pulled on a side street where I could see the bench. I wait probably close to 5 minutes, and then I see a man bust out of a dilapidated building I thought was empty. He runs up and grabs the pizza. He spins a whole 360 degrees, and he is glancing in every direction, as if he was afraid he was being watched. Then he hurries back to the place, and when he gets to the door he sees me, and his eyes get huge and wide, paranoid and fearful. He slammed the door shut. I just think he was tweaking or something. Wouldn't be out of the ordinary around here. I live by a massive government facility. I won't name it, but it is in the DC area. This delivery was done at about 10:30 at night. I was told to ask for a tip. When I arrived at the back gate of the facility, I stopped at the gate and 2 black SUVs approached me. A man exited the second car and came and asked me what name he told me to ask for. I said Tim and gave him his pizza and got back in my car. Tim got back in his car on the passenger side, and I turned around at the gate and left. The second car proceeded to follow me back to the pizza shop and then sat across the street for 15 minutes and only left when I made a second delivery. That was my last delivery as a pizza guy. Edit. I'm new to Reddit and don't know all the rules yet, but bear with me. I was not hired by said government facility. I got a job at a hospital like a week later and continue to work there to this day. I have had no other encounters with these men as far as I know. Why the duck would you have the pizza delivered if you're just going to follow the delivery guy back to the shop? Not something I've seen, but something I helped arrange for a pizza delivery guy. Worked at a pizza place in high school. One of the delivery guys was a former Army Ranger. He was a blast and loved practical jokes. Well, we had a new delivery guy start one night and the Army Ranger called and ordered pizza. We thought it would be funny to play a joke on new guy, so we asked Army Ranger to do something funny to new guy when he shows up. New guy goes out and delivers a pizza to Army Ranger, not knowing he also worked there, and when he came back he was very quiet and looked a little disturbed. I called up Army Ranger and asked him what he did to new guy. Army Ranger answered the door wearing his girlfriend's lingerie and an army helmet. Not the sight a new driver is hoping to see, I suspect. I was delivering to a trailer park and heard the strains of bad karaoke from the driveway. Went and knocked on the door, was greeted by a 50-something couple in their underwear who insisted I come in to set the food down and receive payment. The guy offered me a beer and asked me to stay and party. I told him I couldn't, my boss would be mad. He started doling out my tip in ones, with which he would beckon and retreat deeper into the trailer. His wife kept eyeing me and giggling. I ended it at $3 worth of tip and just left as stoically as I could, then broke down laughing maniacally in my car. I delivered to a hotel in the middle of a local golf course. Called the number to let them know I was there and was told to come on up. Get to the room, and when the guy answered, there was a large group of guys, all in golf attire, surrounding a single guy in a chair. He was bound and blindfolded. The one that answered didn't even bat an eye, just asked how much and tipped me $30. Warily I took the money and walked away, but before the door was fully closed, I heard one on the guys ask, "I wonder if he knows this is a..." Before I even left the parking lot, the guy that answered the door called me to say that the bound guy was his brother and he was bound and blindfolded because it's his bachelor party and the stripper was waiting to come out. I just showed up way earlier than they thought I would. Showed up to a mansion in the rich part of suburbs. The house was completely dark, so I call the number, no answer. I get out and ring the doorbell 3 times, no answer. I start banging on the door and call again with no answer. All of a sudden the door flies open and some guy in his underwear and open bathrobe, breathing all heavy and sweating, reaches out, snags the pizza, just throws money at me and shuts the door. Another time I show up and the guy opens all excited with a big creepy smile on his face. Gestures me to come in and I say no. He won't do anything until I step inside. So I take a step in and he says to me, "Okay, so place the pizza on the floor right there," points to specific place. "Place the Pepsi there," points to a coffee table, and "put my breadsticks there," points to the opposite side of where the pizza is. I just look at him and say okay. As soon as I do it, he says, "Okay, your money is on the floor by the door. Have an amazing day. Thank you very much." So I walked out backwards, not taking my eyes off him, grab my money and leave. We're ducking people out there, man. Delivered a pizza to the back door of a funeral home. 2 guys in their 20s answer the door, both wearing long black rubber aprons over their shirts and ties, and long black rubber gloves. The aprons were glistening with some fluid or other. Fortunately, the guy paying took off his gloves before pulling out his wallet and paying. I was only 18 at the time. Kinda freaked me out. To the point that today, 42 years later, I still remember it. I no longer do deliveries, but one that has stayed with me was delivering to a house and this guy answers the door in a blood-covered apron and a handsaw. The smell of blood was so strong you could taste it. So as he went to get his money, I pulled my phone and dialed 911 and put it back in my pocket. The transaction took about 9 or 10 minutes. As I got in my car I could see the first blue lights, so I pulled out calmly and then stopped to tell them I had called. Luckily there was no murder. It turns out he had hit a deer and just loaded it up in his truck and was butchering it and decided he wanted pizza. He ordered again and asked for me by name. He apologized for the misunderstanding, and though he didn't tip me in money he offered me deer sausage. I declined for fear he was mad and was trying to poison me. Got to the place, was told to slide the pizza through the mail slot because they were trapped inside. It was too big for the mail slot, so the dude on the other side suggested that I slide it in slice by slice. We both soon realized the cheese was getting ducked by the brush strip, so the guy gave me a magazine as a protective sheath for the slices. Turns out they filmed the whole event from the inside for Peep Show.